All right, Alawapad, dear friends. Welcome to the Sunday morning devotional program sponsored by the Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of South DeKalb County in Sandy Springs, Georgia. It's wonderful to have all of you with us today. Across the globe, the teachings of the Baha'i faith, brought to us more than 150 years ago by His Holiness Baha'u'llah, its founder, whose Arabic name means the glory of God, have inspired and continue to inspire individuals and communities as they strive to improve their own lives and contribute to the advancement of civilization. Baha'i beliefs address such essential themes as the oneness of God and religion, the oneness of humanity and freedom from all forms of prejudice, the inherent nobility of the human being, the progressive relation of religious truth, a gradual unfolding of God's purpose with the appearance of each divine teacher, the development of spiritual qualities, which allow us to reflect the image that God made us in, the integration of worship and service, with work performed in the spirit of service being accounted as worship in the eyes of God, the fundamental equality of the sexes, more widely evidenced in the setting of equal opportunity, the harmony between religion and science as an established fact, the centrality of justice in all human endeavor, the importance of education, particularly for children, and the dynamics of the relationships that bind together individuals, communities, and institutions as humanity advances towards its collective maturity. Again, welcome. We're pleased to have you all join us. We'll begin with opening devotions. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking, and silence your electronic devices if you are speaking. Thank you. Yasmin?
Yeah. Okay. Praise and glorify thou, O God. Grant that the day of attaining thy holy presence may be fast approaching. Cheer our hearts through the potency of thy love and good pleasure, and bestow upon us steadfastness, that we may willingly submit to thy will and thy decree. Verily thy knowledge embraceth all the things thou hast created or will created, and thy celestial might transcended whatsoever thou hast called or wilt call into being. There is none to be worshipped but thee. There is none to be desired except thee. There is none to be adored besides thee. And there is not to be loved save thy good pleasure. Verily thou art the supreme ruler, the sovereign truth, the help in peril, the self-subsisting, the Bab.
Dung Ting?
I beg thee to forgive me, O my Lord, for every mention by the mention of thee, and for every praise by the praise of thee, and for every delight by delight of thee nearness, and for every pleasure by the pleasure of communion with thee, and for every joy by the joy of thy love and of thy good pleasure, and for all things pertaining unto me which bear no relationship unto thee. O thou who art the Lord of Lords, he who provides the means and unlock the doors. Above.
Debbie?
My God, whom I worship and adore. I bear witness unto thy unity and thy oneness, and acknowledge thy gifts, both in the past and in the present. Thou art the all bountiful. Keeps getting smaller and shorter. Thou art the all bountiful. It's just gotten blurred for some reason.
Would you like me to pass that one to someone else, and we'll let you have another try?
Oh, there it goes. Okay, it just got clear again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me start over. My God, whom I worship and adore, I bear witness unto thy unity and thy oneness, and acknowledge thy gifts, both in the past and the present. Thou art the all bountiful, the overflowing showers of whose mercy have rained down upon high and low alike, and the splendors of whose grace have been shed over both the obedient and the rebellious. O God of mercy, before whose door the quintessence of mercy hath bowed down, and round the sanctuary of whose cause loving kindness in its inmost spirit hath circled. We beseech thee, entreating thine ancient grace and seeking thy present favor, that thou mayest have mercy upon all who are the manifestations of the world of being, and deny them not the outpourings of thy grace in thy days. All are but poor and needy, and thou verily art the all-possessing, the all-subduing, the all-powerful. Baha'u'llah.
Arik?
Praised be thou, O Lord my God. This is thy servant who hath quaffed from the hands of thy grace the wine of thy tender mercy, and tasted of the savor of thy love in thy days. I beseech thee, by the embodiments of thy names, whom no grief can hinder from rejoicing in thy love, or from gazing on thy face, and whom all the hosts of the heedless are powerless to cause to turn aside from the path of thy pleasure, to supply him with the good things thou dost possess, and to raise him up to such heights that he will regard the world even as a shadow that vanisheth swifter than the twinkling of an eye. Keep him safe also, O my God, by the power of thine immeasurable majesty, from all that thou abhorrest. Thou art verily his Lord and the Lord of all worlds. Baha'u'llah.
Taraz?
O Lord, my God, assist thy loved ones to be firm in thy faith, to walk in thy ways, to be steadfast in thy cause. Give them thy grace to withstand the onslaught of self and passion, to follow the light of divine guidance. Thou art the powerful, the gracious, the self-subsisting, the bestower, the compassionate, the almighty, the all-bountiful. Abdul Baha.
Matthew?
This is the day in which the testimony of the Lord hath been fulfilled, the day in which the word of God hath been made manifest, and his evidence firmly established. His voice is calling you unto that which shall profit you, and enjoineth you to observe that which shall draw you nigh unto God, the Lord of revelation. Baha'u'llah.
Justice is, in this day, bewailing its plight, and equity groaneth beneath the yoke of oppression. Thick clouds of tyranny have darkened the face of the earth and enveloped its peoples. Through the movement of our pen of glory, we have, at the bidding of the omnipotent ordainer, breathed a new life into every human frame, and instilled into every word a fresh potency. All created things proclaim the evidence of this worldwide regeneration. This is the most great, the most joyful tidings imparted by the pen of this wronged one to mankind. Wherefore hear ye, O my well-beloved ones. Who is it that can dismay you? A touch of moisture sufficeth to dissolve the hardened clay out of which this perverse generation is molded. The mere act of your gathering together is enough to scatter the forces of those vain and worthless people. Deborah?
When you love a member of your family or a compatriot, let it be with the ray of the infinite love. Let it be in God and for God. Wherever you find the attributes of God, love that person, whether he be of your family or of another. Shed the light of a boundless love on every human being whom you meet, whether of your country, your race, your political party, or of any other nation, color, or shade of political opinion. Heaven will support you while you work in this ingathering of the scattering peoples of the world beneath the shadow of the almighty tent of unity. Abdul Baha, Paris Talks.
Matthew?
The whole human race is submerged in the sea of the mercy of the Lord, and we are all the sheep of one divine shepherd. Whatever shortcomings exist among us must be remedied. For example, those who are ignorant must be educated so that they may become wise. The sick must be treated until they recover. Those who are immature must be trained in order to reach maturity. Those asleep must be awakened. All this must be accomplished through love and not through hatred and hostility. Abdul Baha.
Thank you to all today's speakers. Next, we're going to listen to a healing prayer. If any of you wish to remember a loved one through this prayer of healing, please feel free to call out their name at this time.
Barbara Sacco, Joyce Devalier, Frank Devalier.
My cousin Stephanie.
Ahmed Abura,
Gary Hunter,
My children.
Thy name is my healing. Thy companion. Thy name is my healing. Thy name is my healing. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thy mercy to me is my healing in both this world and the world to come. World to come. And love, for thee is my companion. Thou verily art the all bountiful, the all knowing, the all wise. Thou verily art the all bountiful, the all knowing, the all wise. Thy name is my healing. Thy name is my healing. Oh my God.
And now we're blessed to have a musical offering.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Here we go, y'all. Sing a little message out to those of y'all who feel like you're struggling.
Yeah. It's a simple song. Yeah. Yesterday, a man stepped to me, said, how can you smile when your world is crumbling down? I said, in my secret, when I wanna cry, I take a look around and I see that I'm getting by, and I hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. Change is coming. Hold on. Hold on. Don't you worry. Don't worry about a thing. Hold on. Hold on. You can make it. You can make it. Hold on. Hold on. Everything will be alright. Some people like to worry. Some people like to hide. Some people like to run away from the pain inside. Now that's your business. Do whatever you wanna do. But if it don't work out, here's what you ought to do. Now just hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. Change is coming. Hold on. Hold on. Don't worry. Don't worry about a thing. Hold on. Hold on. You can make it. Now hold on. Hold on. Everything is gonna be alright. When the troubles of life weigh you down, just lift your head up. Yeah, yeah. When the love you seek is hard to find, don't give up. Just be strong. Keep the faith and hold on. Change is coming. Change is coming. Hold on. Hold on. Everything is gonna be alright. Hold on. Say you can make it. Hold on. Everything's gonna be alright.
Here's a little simple song, y'all. When the troubles seem like they just won't go away. Friends let you down, things get bounced around. Here's a little lullaby we like to sing. And it goes a little like this. Come on, listen. La la, la la, la la, la la. Come on, y'all. La la, la la, la la. Now hold on, your change is coming.
All right. I'd like to give a thank you to all of our readers today, and welcome you all here. Every week, we're blessed to have a guest presenter who shares with us their insights on a particular topic. This week, we're honored to have with us Mr. Arik Ting. Mr. Ting is a senior at Walton High School, has taught Baha'i Sunday school and junior youth class for more than 3 years, is an initiator and co-founder of Camp Brilliant Star, which serves junior youth and children in under-resourced neighborhoods, and is a founder and coordinator of Education for All, with a team of high schoolers mentoring middle schoolers in low-income areas. He is in his second term as president of the Latin Club at Walton High School, is a key member of the Science Bowl, a champion in the Cobb County Math Competition of 2019, received second place in Roman history in the National Latin Convention, and also creates 3D animations of origami on YouTube. Friends, please welcome Mr. Arik Ting.
Thank you, Mr. Boyanton. Is that how I say it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just let me get it set up. Would you mind if I played music while I talk?
It's up to you.
Okay. Let's see. This may take a while. Okay. Everyone can hear me okay, right? All right. Let's see. And everything's, I can see it all right?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is, as you already know, my name is Arik Ting, and I want today to talk about how to start Baha'i core activities at a neighborhood. And I've been doing this for about 2 years, and I wanted to share my insight and advice to starting things from a more organizational and practical perspective for your future core activities endeavors. As you know, the core activities are a current initiative by the Universal House of Justice, the main governing Baha'i body of the world, for Baha'is all around the world to begin grassroots community building efforts on the path to world unity and world peace. And I wanted to share a little bit of my insight into that process. And so let's say you're thinking about, I want to do this, but how do I start? And so I would say step one is find a partner. All of these things really start with one person. these only need to start with one person, which is you. If you want to do this, you can begin. However, it's extremely difficult for just you. So I would recommend that you find a partner. This can be anyone in your life, anyone that you know really well. It could be your friend, your best friend, a member of your family. For me, I had my mom, and we've been doing this together from the beginning. And it's been our connection that's been driving. It's been our love together that's been driving the love that we give to everyone else. It's a lot easier when you have a team. If you can find more people than just two, that's great. But it really starts between the connection between two people. So after you find a partner, write down your blueprints. Now, if you want to do this, get out a piece of paper or something to write with. Maybe it's your phone or a computer, something you can put text on. I'm serious. You write down a day, the day that you want to start doing this. Maybe it's the day that you want to reach out to that friend of yours, the day you want to start meeting and planning, or maybe the day you want to go out and actually do it. I'll give you a few minutes. Maybe if you already know someone you want to talk to, you can write that down too. If you know where you want to go, you can write down more information about that. But the important thing is a day. It could be any day. Maybe today, still got half the day left. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next month, next year. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch. And the important thing is that you start on that day. Doesn't matter what day it is, but you need to start on that day. It doesn't matter what day it is, just start. Even if you don't feel prepared, it's better to go in unprepared than to just prepare forever. Because what matters is that you actually do something. And so, and once you write down a day that you planned, which I saw some of you do, hopefully, and I'm very proud. Once you start on that day that you planned, you should say a prayer afterwards because you need God and all of his divine help and miracles. We did that a lot. So once you have your plans and you have a day that you want to start, find a place to do this. Now, ideally, it's your own neighborhood. It's where you live. Because if you start these activities where you live, then it's going to be a lot easier. People will not question why you're there because it's your own community. And if you need indoor space, well, you have your own home. It makes things a lot easier. However, when I wanted to do this, I decided that I did not want to do it in my neighborhood because, frankly, I thought that there was more to be done, especially in a country like the United States. And so I chose a neighborhood outside of my own. So let's say you decide that you don't want to do it in your own neighborhood and you want to do something outside. So how do you find one? Well, you just open up Google Maps and you start looking around. Look around where you live and pick a place, doesn't have to be the one you actually do it. You find some neighborhood and you get in your car and you go there. Maybe talk to your partner about it, see how they feel about it. Go with your partner, you go there and you feel it out. And if it feels right, try to imagine starting the core activities there. Gathering people, where you're going to do it. Once you found a place you think is good, that means you're ready. And just make sure it's still the early stage, so follow your heart. And don't expect to find the perfect place. Going off experience, I recommend that you should find a place that's within 20 minutes out from each of your potential teammates, because who knows, you might be growing your team. However, once you find the place that you want to do it, you're ready. So step 4, prepare. Obviously, before you go out, you need to do some preparations. As they say, if you don't prepare, you're preparing to fail. So think about what you need. You need flyers to give people. Think about where you're going to do it, when you're going to do that, when you're going to hold activities. Prepare materials, water, snacks, pens, papers, anything that you might need. And lastly, you need to prepare your pitch. Obviously, you're going to be talking to lots and lots of people. Most of them will be strangers. You need to prepare your elevator pitch. When people ask you, what are you doing here? You need to tell people very quickly and very concisely what you're doing, why you're doing it, and all the information they need. And maybe give them a flyer. So you need to practice. I recommend that you write down what you want to say and then practice it. Maybe you can practice it to your house, to your stuffed animal, to your dog, or to yourself, or your mirror, whatever. However you practice your public speaking. And try to think about what kind of questions people are going to ask you about this program. Think about these people, some people you talk to who have never heard the Baha'i faith before. They've never heard the Junior Youth Empowerment, Spiritual Empowerment Program, or children's classes, or any of this. So you'll have to explain to it very quickly. And you want to think about what kind of questions people will ask you. Or better yet, you can just try out your elevator pitch, and when people ask you questions, you figure out what kind of things people ask you. And you might be surprised. When I went out to Sedgefield Apartments and I practiced my sort of pitch a lot, and I was talking to people and knocking on doors, one time I came across this family and I told them the whole spiel. It's like, this is for the Baha'is, so we want to do this. This is the empowerment program, and this is how it goes. One of the questions they asked me was, how much does it cost? I was like, what? I never considered that someone would actually consider before, but thinking about it, why wouldn't they think that? And so in my future, when I talk to people in the future, I made sure to say, this is free. And so you'll be surprised. You can't think of every question that people ask you. And so in a sense, your elevator pitch will never really be ready. So you only need to be ready enough, and just go out and then test it. And then you'll gain more experience. You'll be nervous. I was really nervous. Don't be nervous of getting rejected. Because if you think about it, once you've taken enough rejections, what kind of difference is another one going to make? 100, 101, whatever. Another form of preparation you need to do is talk to the management office, whether it's your neighborhood or whether it's another neighborhood. Tell them what you're doing and why you're doing it, and ask them, hey, can we do this? They can't really stop you anyways. But make sure you tell them, hey, we're doing this. Maybe you want to support us a little. If they respond, that's great. Just keep talking to them. But most likely, they will not respond to you. But that's all right. It means when you talk to them in person later, you can tell them, hey, I sent you an email about it, and then they'll feel bad. This stage of preparing can take either a short time or a long time, but keep in mind that you'll never feel fully prepared. So just prepare until you're ready enough. As I said before, it's better to start not fully prepared than to just keep on preparing forever. You can't see how deep the water is before you dive in. So once you've gathered materials, you've made a flyer. Let's see. Here's the first flyers I made. On the left, this is the first one I ever made. As you can see, it's very bad. Doesn't really talk about what this is. I wanted to start off with a junior youth program, but I would recommend that you start off with children's classes because children, it's easier. The material is easier. It's easier to explain to people because it's a class. People have this idea that it makes classes make sense to them. Very recently, when we made Camp Brilliant Star, these are the later flyers that I made, and want to make sure that they're visually appealing, they give the right information, and the way to contact is easy. As you can see, there's these nice pictures. Unlike this one, where there's no picture. Also, lastly, when you're preparing, you want to think about what the program is. When you design an activity, when you're ready to start, you want to think about what the activity actually is. And so it depends on whatever the complications of the neighborhood you're doing it at. And I know if you read the books on the Ruhi Institute has made about these things, you'll find lots of information about what the program should be. But I would say that there are three main stages of designing a program. There's the introductory activity, the central activity, and the concluding activity. The introductory activity is where everybody kind of gets settled into the atmosphere of your group. So what we did was that we played music and we said some prayers. Sometimes it was the same thing because we were singing Blessed is the Spot. Then you'll have the essential activity, which is the main activity of your group for that day. So if it's a children's class, maybe you want to be teaching some virtue that day. Or if it's a junior youth group, you want to be discussing a certain topic that day. So that's the main bulk of your activity. And then it's the concluding activity where you do something to end everything on a good note. So what we did is sometimes we'd play soccer on the field, or we'd have snacks and everybody would hang out. Or one time we brought in a kit of jumbo bubbles that everyone had a blast with. So think about the kind of stages. These are the main parts of your program. You can design your program from there. Honestly, this could be a whole entire other presentation, but I'll leave it at that. So once you feel prepared enough, step 5, go. And by that I mean actually go. Get in your car, talk to your partner, get in your car, put all your supplies in there, all your preparations, and go there. And walk around the place, get a feel for it, see what kind of things go around. Or the first time you might want to talk to the management office. Now, if you remember, you sent them an email before. And if they didn't respond, you can tell them, hey, I sent you an email about this before, but you didn't respond to it. And since they're right in front of your face, they can't really ignore you anymore. So they'll feel a little bad about it. Tell them again what you're doing and ask them if they'll let you put a flyer in their office. They'll probably say no, but it's worth a shot anyways, right? If they say no, they'll probably tell you that you can put it near the mailboxes or by the front doors, because again, they don't want to feel too bad about it, so they'll try to help you out some way they can, without putting in too much effort themselves. By the way, if you're passing out flyers, just a side note, passing out flyers, it's illegal to tape or nail things to people's doors, so just find some way to leave it, or you can leave it under the rug sometimes. When you're done talking to the management office, walk around, talk to people outside. It's very rare that there's going to be nobody walking outside. Go talk to people outside, be very friendly, say hi, how are you doing? And then give your elevator pitch, or you can, sometimes the situation presents itself and you can just roll with it there. If there's nobody else outside, which is very unlikely, your last resort is to knock on doors, go door to door. So once you do all that, just talk to as many people as you can. Our first day, I think we talked to around 10 people. And from my experience, every 10 people you talk to, a max of around one person will be interested, or maybe zero. If it's zero, go talk to some more people. Again, when you have so many rejections, what kind of difference is one more going to make? So don't be afraid. When you go, make sure you go on at least a weekly basis. When we were starting out, we went 2 days a week. It was Monday and Thursday because it was summer and I didn't have homework. But if it's not your own neighborhood, you need to go consistently to build trust. If you're not there like half the time when you say you are, then why would they trust you? They need to build the expectation that you'll be there at the same time every week or so. When school started and I couldn't do Mondays and Thursdays anymore, we switched to doing Saturdays at 2 p.m. every single week. And that's also helped when we told people, hey, we're going to be here Saturday at 2 p.m. every single week. And that's the expectation they got. And keep going, talk to people until you find people who are interested. Remember, it only takes one. It only took you, one person, to start this. And it only takes one of them to start this. At least one person. But until then, set goals for each day. So maybe one day you want to talk to 10 people. Maybe one day you want to talk to 15 people. Regardless of the result, you took enough effort to talk to those people anyways. So I think God is pleased. Once you find at least one person who's interested, it only takes one, you're ready to begin the activities. And once you have those activities, you can find the next step, which is to grow. You need to grow everything pretty much. Grow your group, grow your team, grow your activities. And this process, that's how the community building process works. They talk about the nucleus and how it expands. The nucleus started with you and your partner, and that one person that you managed to make that connection with. And it grows from there. So first I'm going to talk about growing your group. First, so this was me starting out. It was just me and these two little kids. And eventually, after about a year, we eventually grew to this size. And also the management office let us inside. Even if you have a group growing, you need to think about how can you add more people? Yes, maybe you have 5 people and they're great, but how can you add more people? Unless there's 5 people in your neighborhood, which is very unlikely, there's always more people out there. Or not only do you need to add more people, you need to strengthen the connections of your group. Try new activities, new service projects, find more ways for them to strengthen the connections between each other and the way they'll help out each other. Secondly, you want to grow your team as well. Starting out, it was just me and my mom, but soon as we started growing, it was starting to become, as we got more and more people, it was starting to become harder and harder to handle everybody. And so as you grow your group, you need to grow your team to handle it. And so what I did was that I went out to Baha'i events, I went to the Unity Church and talked to people about what I did and garnered interest. And about a year later, we started getting more support, which is on the right here. Here's all of us hanging out at Dunkin' Donuts. So if you want to grow your group, you need to grow your team. Not only do you need to grow your team, you also need to strengthen the connections with your team as well. Remember, it's the connections and the love in your team or between you and your partner that is the core that resonates with everything else. And you need that, otherwise the whole thing falls apart. And so don't be afraid to hang out with your team once in a while. And to have fun while you're doing it. After every Saturday afternoon, me and my mom were usually so tired that we just go out for bubble tea after we were done every week. And I think that made it all worth it. So don't have some fun while you're at it and make sure that you strengthen the bonds between your team. So you can go hang out at some point. And it helps a lot because you need to make sure that your team and everybody understands each other and everybody can work together so that you can work with all the people outside. So actually, before I end off the step of growing, this step takes a very long time some groups take about years, like 10 years to get where they are now, where you see the picture with all of these kids. It took them about 10 years. So don't worry too much if you're going very slowly. As long as you're making progress, you're not procrastinating, and you're making steps a little bit at a time, you're fine. You just keep going. But you need to be continually making progress. There'll be many setbacks to your growth, but as long as you make more steps forward than backward, you're on the right track. Lastly, I want to close off with just some tips that I didn't really know how to order. I didn't really know how to order into steps. So first of all, I want to bring up the idea. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Back when I was in middle school, I really liked this girl because I was young and she was pretty, but I kept waiting for the perfect conditions to tell her that I liked her. They never came, so eventually I just gave up and found the place as good as any. Same thing here. Stop waiting you don't want to wait for perfect conditions because they'll never come. Oh, I'm like doing this in the middle, or I'm kind of busy right now, or this other person can't do it, or it's raining right now. You'll never have like the perfect conditions. So stop waiting for them and just start. You've already written down a day to start, and you'll start on that day no matter what. Next up, I would say, don't make excuses for yourself. I remember reading this story about this other group trying to start core activities, and on their first day that they were going to go out, they wished that it rained so that they'd have an excuse not to go. And when I was starting out, some people asked me, hey, what would you do if it rained? You're doing this outside. The management office didn't let us use the space in the middle, so I was like, whatever, we'll just do it outside. Truth is, it just didn't rain. So don't make up obstacles for yourself. It didn't rain, so we weren't going to worry about it until it did. It did eventually, but that's beside the point. So don't make up excuses for yourself. I understand that this is very tiring and it's very exhausting work, but you can't let these things stop you. Something I always thought to myself was, if there's something that came up like, it's really hot today, are you really going to let that stop you? Think about what God's looking at above. He's like, this man stopped my divine plans because it was too hot outside. No, you just keep going. Next up, I would say that the connections at the beginning come before the spiritual education. Some people want to start out with the books, the Ruby Institute books like Glimmerings of Hope and Breezes of Confirmation. But I would say that when you're starting out, it's very important to establish the connections of your group first. And it's more important that they have this group that supports each other than it is for them to learn things. However, I'm not saying that spiritual education can be eschewed for the connections, because there needs to be a balance between having those connections and for them to be productive. Remember, we're doing service here, and so there's no point if they don't actually learn anything. So at some point, they need to be productive, but they also need to be having fun at the same time. So that's part of designing activities. Next up, I would say, don't give up. Once you start, it's really hard to stop. If you've already made these connections with these people in these groups, and you come across some setback, if you back out now, what's going to happen to them? So you can't give up. So that about ends it. I just want to leave everyone off with this quote from Shoghi Effendi in The Advent of Divine Justice, our guardian of the faith. He says, there is a long and thorny road beset with pitfalls that still remains untraveled. And so I just want everyone to remember that this is, as he said, a very long and thorny road. It's not very well paved, and you can't really see where it goes, but you have to believe that the road is going in the right direction, no matter how bad it gets. And that's what you need to keep yourself going. So what's important is that you know that the road is going in the right direction, no matter how bad it gets. And if you have any, if you want any advice or you just want to tell me, I'd love to hear your progress of your endeavors. So you can reach out to me at this email, and I will be there for you to help you out. Thank you.
Thank you, Arik. That was actually really, really helpful, actually. I learned a lot myself. So let's throw the floor open to questions and let anyone ask you whatever they need. So does anyone have a question for Arik? So
I have comments and a question. First of all, it's very refreshing to have a youth speaker to our Sunday events. And I was quite impressed, very organized talk, so very useful information. My field is psychology. So I'm actually very interested in, like, you're high school, right?
Yes.
How old are you right now?
I'm 17.
So 17 years old. How long have you been doing this?
2 to 3 years. So since I've been doing this since I was 15.
Oh, okay. So my question is, like, what inspired you to get this started? I'm guessing it's your mom, maybe. So maybe this way we can inspire more youth to do this. And also how has been doing this impact you as a person? Yeah.
So first of all, thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
But for the first question of how I got inspired to do this, for many years when I was growing up as a child, I went to many feasts, and they talked about this at all the feast letters. Your core activities, like, this is what people are doing, what people are doing around the world. But I always wondered, like, because all the people around me didn't seem to be doing this. And so I always wondered what these were about. And so eventually it came to a point where I said, hey, I want to do this myself. And secondly, how this has affected me, that is a very complicated question because it's affected me anyways. On the surface level, I learned a lot on how to talk to people. I talked about developing, how to talk to people and not being afraid of rejection. I used to be a little more shy before I did this, and I never would have come before any of you to talk about this sort of thing. But allowing to do this and having that drive to keep going has helped me a lot on being more confident and putting myself out there. And another way this has affected me is that it's changed the way I look at the world in a lot of ways. A lot of the people and the children I work with is really into, like, their lives are so different than mine, and it really broadened my view on how differently people live. And before it was something I read about, but it was then something I could see. And another thing is about how I started is that when I was talking to my mom, she owned an assisted living for, like, dementia patients and Alzheimer's patients. And she originally wanted to do work around, helping elderly people who, were suffering. And I remember telling her, but I want to do something that has more of an impact on the future. And so I wanted to do something more towards younger people. And I wanted to work towards helping younger people. So that's why I also wanted to do this.
Thank you so much. Very inspiring. Yeah.
So Taraz, I think you have a question.
I think he got that.
Oh, I guess he had to go.
Okay, I thank you. Really, this is so amazing. And then to hear that you're so young, and it's very encouraging for us older people to see this happen. And I think this is so easy to put it down in the form that you gave it to us. It's not going to be as easy to do, I understand, but at least I've been in too many groups where they say, yeah, we need to do this. And like you said, the house letters for how long have been telling us we need to do these things, but you systematically put down how we can do this. And it's so encouraging. And so what I was wondering, if you would consider putting this on YouTube also, because I'm thinking there's a lot of people, we just moved from Southern California and we're new here, and we'd like to do this kind of thing, and we'll stay in touch with you. But I'm thinking there's a lot of groups that are afraid to get started, and this is a really nice systematic way of helping that, that process. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and do think about perhaps putting it on YouTube.
First of all, thank you. And secondly, I thought this was going on YouTube.
It is actually. It's broadcasting live right now, and it will be recorded and it will be on the Baha'i Unity Center YouTube channel. So this presentation will definitely be on YouTube. But of course, you could make another one if you wanted as well, right?
I could make another one. If you want. Yeah. I will think about it. Thank you.
Good. Think about it. Thank you.
Yeah, Ari, I say dittos to what everything that Gwen just said. I'm just sitting, and also before I start, I would like to say thank you so much for that tutoring program that you put together. My granddaughter, she's 14. She used that last year and the year before when she was going through virtual learning, and it has helped her tremendously. So you are a very capable young man that is reaching out in so many ways to young people. And it's just such a blessing to have you here this morning. I did not know what a gem we had in our midst. So honestly, thank you so much. And I also serve on the ATC, and I was sitting, watching your presentation and thinking, my God, how people would really love to have this information. So many ATCs would love to have this information, to be able to share it with other communities and whatnot, because like Gwen said, you just simplify it so well, and brought out a lot of points, that people have, but not able to articulate, And so you just answered all of those questions. I really am so thankful for this. And, here in South DeKalb, we have a little teaching team, and we've been at it for almost 3 years. And we're just going around in circles, but and some of the team members are here, but I hope this presentation brought some clarity to them as well as it did to me, So again, thank you so much. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question?
Thank you so much, Eric. You've been so helpful. I don't have words to thank you, but for a young man at the age of 17, oh my God, it was amazing to see how you put things together, well organized, and all of that. So I thank you so much for what you've been doing, and continue the good work. I wish we had more young people like you.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say it's inspiring too, just to learn that you experienced this firsthand. You're sharing your firsthand, like you said, you read about it, but then you saw the differences, and it's it's just encouraging to do this work when we actually do it. You know what I mean? It's like the connections are most important too. That's also what I noticed was great to hear. Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Eric. This is Barbara Taylor speaking.
Hi.
And I want to thank you so much for your presentation. I feel invigorated. I feel the youth and your enthusiasm is remarkable for us older folks. And and I just want to say from watching people, young people at the World Center, you are the future of our youth. This is what our Baha'i youth look like now and for the future. And I just want everybody to think, oh, good, we're going to get more of this. and it's up to you and your peers to bring this faith forward in this new invigorating way. And your sincerity and your eagerness and your dedication at such a young age are so impressive. And I just want to thank you again. And please come back sometime. I'm sure you've got a plethora of things to share with us. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have a comment or a question?
Just wonder if we have any way can share Eric's talk, maybe with the broader Baha'i community. I think it can inspire more, not just youth, all of us to just, hey, just do it, okay? Don't let any excuse. I think we all wanted to do the Baha'i teaching and, influence more people, impact more people. But as Eric said, sometimes we always think, oh, just wait, prepare and excuse. So I think just that message is very important. If everybody just keep going, and then I think it's going to make a huge difference. So I don't know if that's possible. I definitely would like to, if possible, because I have my own organization and my audience are mostly in China. So if okay, I would like to translate it into Chinese, like bilingual, maybe Chinese subtitle, and then share it with my platform. I think that will inspire more people. So yeah, we should make it multilingual or something. Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This is Debbie Hayes, and I live in Austell, and we've started an initiative to, teaching in the Austell community. I was wondering if there's any way you could come with us one day and help us.
How far is it?
Austell, it's close to Marietta. It's in Cobb County.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely help.
Okay. If you could maybe text me your phone number or something. Well, I have Sophie's phone number, so.
Yeah, you can contact my mom.
Okay.
Martine has their hand raised.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Martine.
Hey,
Martine?
this is Martine Smith. I'm one of the favorite people to work with, Eric and Miss Sophia Ting. The one thing I have to say with them is I have 3 girls, 16, 12, and 8. And my 16-year-old, she's not good when it comes down to communicating. So being with Arik and working with the team and other youth, she's opened up so much with answering questions, reading, talking, just opening up. And I had to give my hats off to Arik and Miss Sophia, because this has sprung her where she's actually volunteering in a community where it's pretty much low poverty in a neighborhood, not too far from where we go at now. And I was pretty shocked when she said she wanted to volunteer and be a mentorship at the Yale's program. And she was like, well, because Arik always said you got to speak up and you have to not be shy and, just go for it. And so, Arik, I want to tell you, thank you so much, and keep on doing what you're doing. Don't let nothing stop you. We're here to support you all the way. And I just want to thank you and your mom, and hopefully we're able to build something a little bit, on a broader range.
Thank you. I'm glad I've had that impact on Manaya.
Because Manaya.
Anyone else? Well, if that's all, then once again, we want to thank Arik. It really was wonderful. I want to echo what was pointed out, that part of what was amazing for me was the step-by-step way you present it actually does make something that can feel overwhelming feel much more doable. I think that was a really great way to present this, because well, it sounds for me, you said like you yourself also struggled with this, but that's certainly been my struggle over the years, is that sense of inadequacy of it's just too much. I don't think I can do it, and being able to see it laid out in a very sort of linear format like that, where every step is very doable, did make it feel a lot more within the possibility of something that I could get out and do. And I really liked that. That was very helpful. So at this point, we want to welcome all of our guests to the Baha'i Unity Center's Sunday morning devotional program. So if you're new here, feel free to share who you are, where you're from, and how you happen to be with us today. That includes Baha'is visiting from out of town, sojourners who have recently returned to the area. We would love to hear from anyone and everyone. So I know there's certainly some people here that I don't know, but I mean, I'm actually still somewhat new to this area. So that may just be because I haven't been around long enough. So if you feel like speaking up, please do. Okay. If not, then in that case, before we close, let me give a few quick announcements. Today's program has been recorded and posted to the YouTube channel entitled South DeKalb Baha'i Unity Center, where you can view it and invite others to view it as well. And for members of the Baha'i Faith, we warmly encourage you to make a financial contribution to the South DeKalb Baha'i Fund, the Sandy Springs Baha'i Fund, and the National Baha'i Fund through the online contribution system at ocs.baha'i.us, or mail a check to the Baha'i Unity Center at 2370 Wesley Chapel Road, Decatur, Georgia, 30035. We want to give all of our thanks to everyone who worked together to make today's program possible. That includes our speaker, Arik, our volunteer readers, Barbara Hennix, without whom we wouldn't be doing this, the spiritual assemblies of the Baha'is of South DeKalb and Sandy Springs, and of course, thanks to everyone who's here who came to share your morning with us. So I'm Stephen Boyanton, and until next time, please stay safe and well. We're going to end now with a closing prayer for the departed.
Stephen, I would say the closing prayer, but before I do, I would just like to ask Art and the audience if, because we're moving in, we all saw the feast letter, and there's feast tonight, and we're going to be moving into an arena of preparing ourselves for the 9-year plan. So I was just going to ask him if he could be so generous to come back and visit with us again, maybe next month, and we could really talk to our friends and teammates and whoever, and explain to them, the program, just have more people come to the session so they can hear this presentation, and maybe you can add some more to it. But do we want him back again next month?
Definitely.
Yeah. Most assuredly.
Yes. So I'll get with you, and we'll schedule you, whatever works for your schedule next month. Okay?
I'd be glad to.
Thank you so much. And I'll end with the closing prayer for the departure. Oh my God, O thou forgiver of sins, restorer of gifts, dispeller of afflictions. Verily, I beseech thee to forgive the sins of such as have abandoned this physical garment and have ascended to the spiritual world. O my Lord, purify them from trespasses, dispel their sorrows, and change their darkness into light. Cause them to enter the garden of happiness. Cleanse them with the most pure water, and grant them to behold thy splendors on the loftiest mount. Abdu'l-Baha. Allah, it was such a wonderful, pleasant surprise.
So Allah everyone, and we hope to see you all next Sunday. So
Thank you, Eric.
Aloha, everybody. Thank you,
Aloha.
Ari.
Aloha. Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you so much.
Eric.